The book of 2 Samuel can be divided into two main sections, David under the blessing and David under the curse. The book opens with the Amalekite report of Saul's death, in which the Amalekite messenger hands Saul's crown to David. David then commands there to be mourning over the death of Saul and Jonathan. We then hear about the elimination of the Amalekite. The Amalekite takes credit for Saul's death, and so David kills him and says, "Why were you not afraid to lift your hand against the Lord's anointed?" We then get to read about David as king and ruler of Judah. It is the people of Judah who anoint David, one of their own, as king. David inquires of the Lord and makes Hebron his capital. There is a connection here with Abraham, as after both men settled in Hebron, they were given land and children. However, Saul's bodyguard Abner makes Saul's last living son Ishbosheth king of Israel. A battle then takes place at Gibeon, and the Benjamites, Saul's tribe, are divided. Eventually, Abner calls a truce, and he transfers control of all the northern tribes to David, and David tells Abner to bring him back his wife Michal, the daughter of Saul. However, Abner is killed by Joab, David's general, in the gateway of Hebron, a city of refuge. Joab is then cursed by David, and David is declared innocent of Abner's death. Later, Saul's son Ishbosheth is murdered during his afternoon nap, and the two assassins take Ishbosheth's head to David. But David kills them, and he references the Amalekite who claimed to have killed Saul and how he had also been punished. We then read about David as king and ruler over all of Israel. The people of Israel decided to follow David, and he was referred to as the shepherd of Israel. David then makes Jerusalem his capital. Hebron was David's capital for 7.5 years until David conquered Jerusalem from the Jebusites. Note that this is different than the conquest account in Joshua. Here, Jerusalem is called the city of David. We then hear how the Philistines gathered their armies to go get David. David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord told David to have his men go to the poplar trees behind the Philistines and wait until they heard the sound of marching in the treetops. And the Lord gave David complete victory over the Philistines. We then hear about how David returned the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant had been staying at the house of Abinadab in Bela. David went to get the Ark along with 30,000 young Israelite men. The sons of Abinadab, Ahio and Uzzah, placed the Ark on a cart to be pulled by oxen. David and all the people played music and danced for joy. On the way, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah reached out to keep the Ark from falling. When he touched the Ark, he dropped dead. David was angry about this, and he decided to leave the Ark in the keep of Obed-edom the Gittite instead of taking it to Jerusalem. Obed-edom was blessed by God for keeping the Ark at his house for 3 months. Later, David decided to go ahead and bring the Ark to Jerusalem. This time, the people carried the Ark with poles as the law of Moses had commanded. David offered sacrifices every time they took 6 steps, and the procession of people shouted for joy and sounded trumpets. David wore a linen ephod and danced before the Lord with all his might. His wife Michal, Saul's daughter, said to him, "How the king of Israel has distinguished himself today, going around half naked in full view of the slave girls of his servants, as any vulgar fellow would." David responded, "It was before the Lord who chose me rather than your father or anyone from his house when he appointed me ruler over the Lord's people Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. But by these slave girls you spoke of, I will be held in honor." The story ends by saying that David and Michal never had any kids together.